Hey everybody, welcome back to another exciting episode of Stash Park Stash Project. This is going to be our July compilation video. For folks that are new to the channel, first of all, welcome. Thanks for joining us. We do these videos at the beginning of every month to look at the expected kit releases in that given month, and this being July of 2021. So we have a few domestic kit releases and, of course, a few overseas releases. Actually, quite a substantial amount of reprints, if you will, restocks of Aoshima kits that we'll get to at basically the end of the video. But it's quite a hefty amount for those guys. Here domestically, we might see a Revell release or two this month, but nothing is for certain. Also, there is probably going to be an Atlantis release or two this month. Probably looking at 1/32 scale old monogram snap tight kits. I believe there's a 1980s Camaro and a 1960s Chevy Nova that are expected this month. But again, we'll be more up on those guys as they continue to prove that their release schedule, is dependable. We don't hate putting out information saying this is going to come out this month and then it doesn't show up for 2, 3, 5 months afterwards. The for sure, if you will, domestic releases this month are over at Salvino's JR. The 1976 Dodge Charger Richard Petty edition. You may recall that the earlier Charger they put out has already sold out. So this is basically the 1976 race edition. Famous incident with David Pearson involving this car, and basically a new set of decals in the existing kit, because this was again the point of time where NASCAR was allowing you to run several years earlier body styles within the confines of a 3 to 4 year time window. So this is nothing new about this kit as far as making it a 1976 specific Dodge Charger. It is the earlier one, just run the 1976 season. And over at round 2, we have 3 AMT releases slated for the month of July, and they are a reissue of the 1976 GMC General semi truck. You may be thinking that's awful familiar sounding. Yes, that is the one that they released with a Coca-Cola livery late last year, but this is in the more traditional non-branded, if you will, box, the original boxing from 1976 for the box art goes. So if you, for whatever reason, didn't want to buy a Coke edition and you wanted to buy one with a more period correct, if you will, GMC 70s decal scheme to it, this would be the release that you're looking for. Otherwise, the parts content should be completely identical to the Coke kit, just without the Coke licensing. Also a reissue of the GMC Astro semi-truck. This is going to, of course, coincide nicely with the parts pack release last month of the turbine engine. Now you have a fresh release of the Astro to put it in, and this is actually going to have a Miller Brewing tie-in. So for the first time in round 2's existence, they are tickling the dirty underbelly, if you will, of the adult collectibles market. These are going to be supposedly aimed at 21 and over only customers. I'm not sure how you pull that off, other than the fact that it probably will not be stocked into a place like Hobby Lobby because of the family-friendly nature of the entire store. Or just in general, the fact that you could buy stuff there, without being over the age of 21. So look for this to be, available online, certain online vendors, your local hobby shop. But this is probably, again, not going to be a Hobby Lobby release because of the alcohol decals included in it. But again, another thing where the kit itself should be completely, totally the same as all of the other ones that they've done, just with the new decals. And then lastly, they're going to, and for whatever reason, I mean, I know the reason, but for whatever reason, reissue their 1969 Dodge Daytona with one of those new U.S. Postal Service stamp tin, stamp collection tins, I guess would be the best way to put that. You may recall they just did this with the 53 Studebaker earlier this year. This is a set of stamps the U.S. Postal Service put out with a bunch of collectible cars on it, the 69 Dodge Daytona being one of them. Round 2 being in possession of a really well below mediocre version of a 69 Dodge Daytona at this point. And the box art is cool. The stamp itself is really nice. It's a very cool, graphic that they did, the Postal Service did. And being that they paid the licensing for the Postal Service, I assume this won't be the last one of these we see this year. But it is the only one that's currently slated at the moment. And yeah, 69 Dodge Daytona, the AMT kit, with all of its bending and folding and spindling and mutilating to become the General Lee over time and everything else. This is basically just the General Lee kit with the Daytona spoiler and a really, really ill-fitting front end put onto it. If you've ever seen this kit in your entire life, you know how just trash it is. That's the reason why, Revell Monogram did a new one back in the 1990s, because of partially how bad this one actually happens to be. If you want to just buy and build a 1969 Dodge Daytona, might I point you at, again, the Revell Monogram kit from the 1990s. It's been released, I think, 3 or 4 times since the original kit came out in the late 1990s. It's a venerable reissue at this point. I think it's been out pretty much every 7 to 9 years since it was released. So that's probably, again, like I said, 4 reissues of it. I think it was just out 2-3 years ago. I'd have to dig through the notebook of knowledge to find the exact release date, but it's been reissued since this crazy experiment of a web show has been in existence. And so yeah, if you want to buy this to collect the tin because you like the stamp artwork, then that's a solution. Or if you want to build an actual 69 Dodge Daytona, Revell kit be where I point you. If there's just, I'm sorry, I don't really tend to bag on kits to an extent like this. It's one of those, if you want to buy it, I don't care kind of things, but this one really is a terribly mediocre, below mediocre, because mediocre really, in all of its negative aspects, really just means average, and this is well below average at this point. I mean, it might have been something at one point back in the day, but at this point it's been beaten around so much with the various changes to the 69 Dodge Charger body that it's just not a good time. It's not even usable for parts, and considering the fact that it's going to cost more being in that tin, I can't, with any kind of feeling of in my person that is going to make me be able to sleep tonight, recommend this kit to you, unless you want to collect the 10. Otherwise, skip it. Overseas, Tamiya releasing their 1/12 scale Brabham Martini BT44 from the 1975 Formula One season. So this is another huge scale, or big boy scale F1 kit, a reissue. From looking at it, doesn't appear to be, I mean, I think the decals are cartographed this time around, but beyond that, I don't think any of the parts are necessarily new. I believe the last time this was reissued, it had the PE and the turn metal parts to it. So just, again, another reissue of these. They appear to, the 1/12 scale kits appear to sell enough for them to put out 1 or 2 a year. So for the F1 fans, is another one coming. And then Hasegawa has a couple of releases this month, as one would expect. A few of them are just decals, and a couple of them actually have new parts in them. So first up, you have a reissue of the Mazda Cosmo, the street car, that car right there, with a resin chin spoiler added. So kit contents identical to the normal, but just with the resin chin spoiler, which frankly looks like a snowplow. Resin chin spoiler, all the things. Reissue of their 1/24 scale Williams FW14 F1 kit, and this is going to be what they call the full metal detail version. So it's going to have the car already comes with an engine. All the 1/24 scale F1 kits are full detail, but this is going to add a whole bunch of pieces and parts to it in terms of PE and things like that. The last time this kit was released in a full detail, I wrote it down really, really teeny tiny because apparently I never wanted to be able to read it again. Was in the 1990s, so it's been almost 30 years since the last time this kit was seen like this. Again, it'll carry a higher price. It's not quite as high as some of the other full detail kits they've done earlier in 2021, because this does not have like a white metal engine and stuff like that. It already was full detail. This is just adding even more detail to it. So it's running about $55 or so, which is about $30 above where the normal F1 kits sell at in their 1/24 scale line. So that's an option for folks who are interested. Reissue of the Lancia 037 in a 1985 European Rally Championship. It's the Costa Brava Rally, and it is the 3rd place finisher. This kit will more than likely not carry the Rothmans decals that this car needs in real life. Joe 27 did a decal set of it way back when, back in probably the early 2000s. It's been out of production for that long. Be interested to see if they do a reprint of it. Otherwise, you're going to be looking for somebody to run off a set of fill-in livery, because the more likely they're going to do all the decal striping and the wording and all that stuff. other than the actual Rothmans words and the Rothmans livery. Really, that's the problem with a Rothmans thing, is the Rothmans logo, with it being that globe that has the gold graduations on it, like oh, there's a specific term for the map that I'm trying to think of, but it's there and it's gone. But it is a plat map, basically, where the cross-hatching that you would use to find countries, look for this and that, crossing is all in like gold foil in real life. If you were to redraw that, which is possible to do, because I'm sure if there's not an actual image of that in a vector file somewhere on the internet, you could easily turn one into one. It's the problem of getting it printed in gold. Doing it on your home printer or any sort of CYMK printer is going to make that brown instead of gold, because really anybody can print the Rothmans words, because they're just the word Rothmans. It is a trademarked font, and one copy of it off the internet is going to give you all the letters in the correct shapes, and you would just resize them as you needed them, printing them in dark blue and white. It's the logos that are kind of the bigger problem there. So it'd be interesting to see if somebody fixes that omission. I was talking to a friend of mine a few days ago about the ridiculousness that is the tobacco and alcohol bans in model kits, and was telling him, like, I was 13 years old or so when they goody two-shoe moms against all fun came along and took the stuff out of the NASCAR kits. And I still have actually the written reply to the written letter I wrote to AMT at the time as a 13-year-old kid, saying this is stupid, why would you do that? And I am going to have a birthday in the middle of this month, and it's been 31 years since that happened, and in that time I can't believe this is still a problem, and I would like to see one single statistic from any sort of organization whatsoever. I don't even care if it's Russian trolls. They can prove to me that one single child didn't start smoking because there was no Rothmans livery in this Lancia kit. It didn't happen. And for some reason, again, Jägermeister and Martini Rossi is perfectly fine in a model kit, so we don't care if they get drunk and fall off a cliff. We just don't want them to actually start smoking. Yeah. All right, so Mitsubishi Galant for the 1992 European Rally Championship. This will be the championship car. It's kind of a variation of the Mitsubishi corporate livery. Most of the Galants had that of some shape or another. A lot of the Evo 3, 4, 5s carried the corporate livery as well, which is sort of a tricolor set of stripes onto the rear end of a car. This usually the car was white, and then you had like a silver red stripe, and then the car was blue, or it was a white car with like a black and yellow stripe or a like a silver and black stripe with a yellow background, or a silver and yellow stripe with a black background. I believe this is a white, silver, black, yellow back end of a car, from what I remember of seeing the picture of it. But so it's not exactly any kind of really super duper special livery, just more or less a re-existence, if you will, of the corporate logo for the Mitsubishi ran in the 1990s. But it is a new set of decals for this championship car. Reissue of their Group A, the new tool, Toyota Supra, and its 1989 JTTC BU livery. Car did have a couple of podiums in 1989, but by that point, this was going to be the last year of the A70 Supra in Japanese touring, and would, of course, the Supra itself would go away in Japanese racing, in frontline racing, until the mid 1990s. 1995, I think, is when the car came back in Super GT. 1997 being the more famous year of the Castrol car that Tamiya made, that everyone seems to take a turn at fighting with the decals on. So that's back, or not back out. That's a new set of completely new kit from Hasegawa, based on the existing kit that they've done 2 releases of, the Minolta livery and the other car, which just was in my head and then just popped out the other side. But yeah, I could hear my dog running in a circle, which means he needs to go outside. So I was just like, ooh, hurry up and finish this, and then lost my train of thought. So if you saw the smoke, that was what that was. And then, yeah, so it would be the 87 Supra, which is the Tamiya kit, and the 88 Supra, which is the Minolta livery, and then 89 livery is the BU livery. So this is a reissue of the Minolta kit with a new set of decals. There you go. And then a reissue of their Toyota 2000 GT. This is going to be that 1968 SCCA season car. The cars were prepped by Carroll Shelby. That unfortunately, because of a little bit of finagling behind the scenes, got a little bit of a different induction put on them. Then they came here from Japan. Ended up not being nearly successful as Toyota had expected them to be, and Toyota took them out of competition immediately following the 1968 season. I think one of the cars is still that. There were 2 or 3 of them built total. 1 or 2 of them is still here in the United States, and then 1 was shipped back to Japan to recreate the high-speed record holder car, which was destroyed in an accident at a demonstration race. So you get the livery to do both of the team cars. It's a cool conversation piece. Also, they're going to have a different metal knockoff for the wheels because the SCCA one was different than the one that was run in Japan. And then lastly, from Hasegawa, get a reissue of the Nissan Bluebird SSSR, but this is going to be the late 90s version, so this is actually going to be the kit that was from Shizuka that is going to have the most new parts added to it. New front bumper, new hood, new rear bumper, new wheels. I believe there's a couple of interior changes in this, again, without looking it up right now. So that's sort of the big, newest modified reissue that they were going to do. There was no new automotive tools for this summer, but there was a new bike tool. So we'll do the trade-off. We'll get a new car kit probably in the fall, before Christmas. So that takes care of that. And then over at Aoshima, reissue of the Japan 2-door late Nissan Skyline, Toyota Celica 1600 GT, Ken & Mary 4-door Skyline, and the Nissan 430 Generation Cedric in the Grand Champion series. So that'll be the second 4 of the 16 kits coming out, kits 5 through 8. Reissue of the 1998 Toyota Celsior in the regular model car lineup, and then the tuned model car lineup, you get a reissue of the MCR tuner Z33 Fairlady Z, that's a 350Z for us folks here in the United States, and the C-West FD3S RX-7. So both of those are going to be new kits added to the 2 model car line. The kits exist. There's no new parts there, but they have not been boxed into the new marketing line as of yet, so they'll be getting new numbers. And then the 2 sort of, I guess, new kits for this month, if you want to call them that, is a reissue of the 1979 Nissan Cedric. In this case, it's going to be branded as a Datsun 220C, and this is going to be a Hong Kong taxi. You may recall talking about these several months ago when these were announced. So in export market in Hong Kong, this was actually a diesel and branded as a Datsun, not a Nissan. So a bunch of new decals added to it. There's going to be a sheet of PE for like the taxi medallions, and the wording to make it a Datsun instead of a Nissan, and all the diesel badging and things like that. There's not actually going to be any changes to the kit beyond that because, in a curbside kit, there's no real way to tell between a diesel and a gasoline engine. But it is going to be like the most down trim level of the Cedric that they made parts for, which they did do for a Japanese police car at one point in time, so the parts already exist. And then I assume that the taxi pieces are the same taxi pieces out of the Japanese taxi that they did of this down market Cedric as well. So it's sort of an interesting conversation piece with that. And then the other similar brand Hong Kong taxi is a 2018 Toyota, the NTP 10R taxi kit. You may recall this is that weird kind of sort of promo kit that they've done, I guess, 4 versions of it at this point. A couple of them were actually liveried as real Japanese taxi cabs. A couple of them were just sort of catalog specifications. And this one is going to, again, be for the Hong Kong taxi service with a couple of new, I believe, again, PE pieces added to make the Hong Kong specific taxi medallions and things of that nature. And apparently somebody really wants to talk to me on Messenger. Lastly, of the kits for July is a pre-painted version of the Toyota Truno A86 Project D. So this is, again, one of these kits that's completely and totally painted, not only the body, but also all of the rest of the parts of the kit. And basically, you just cut it off the sprue, touch a few things up, and assemble it. These things make great weekend builds and things of that nature. If you're not real picky about parting lines and seams and things like that, you can pretty much just glue it together and be on your way. On the just reissue side, right? These are just restocks for the summer, basically. 2011 Subaru Sambar, this World Rally Blue Metallic Limited Edition. The 1982 Nissan Silvia Super Silhouette. The 1971 Nissan Skyline GTR. The 2010 Subaru Impreza WRX STI. The 2004 Nissan R34 GTR Z-Tune. 1977 Toyota Celica 2000 GT. 1970 Skyline GTX. 1977 Skyline GT ES. 1986 Nissan Leopard Ultima, 1991 Toyota Hilux Surf, Toyota 4Runner to us guys here in the States, 1991 Toyota Crown Majesta, 1990 Toyota Estima Twin Roof, 2015 Toyota Crown Royal Saloon, 2005 Toyota Alfred Silk Blaze VIP van, 2007 Mitsubishi Evo 10 Sea West Racing Edition, 1978 Toyota Hilux Custom, so that's going to be one of the lowrider pickups, 2002 Nissan GTR R34 Mines Tuner Edition. 1985 Toyota Hilux Custom. So this is the newer body style Toyota, again with that lowrider kit base. 1998 Toyota Chaser Toyota Racing Development Edition. 1995 Toyota Hilux Lift Up. So this is the newer Toyota Hilux with up on the four-wheel drive chassis with the big mudder tires. 1999 RE Amenia Mazda RX-7 FD3S, reissue the Liberty Walk Japan 4-door, Liberty Walk Works Nissan Laurel 130, and the Liberty Walk Works GTR Koyoji Choice, which is, again, the race car tribute version. Reissue the 2011 Lamborghini Aventador, reissue the 2009 Murcielago Superveloce, whatever you want to call that, and then a couple of 19-inch wheel sets, so reissue the Volk TE37s, the Volk CE28Ns, the Enkei NT03 Plus Ms, and the 19-inch Racing Heart CRs. Whew! That's a lot of Aoshima restocks there. That, guys, however, does cover the expected kits for the month of July. So, should be a few things there to pick up, I would assume. Definitely want to get the Supra to complete out my JTC Supra collection. The Bluebird SSRs are just fun because they were basically factory rally cars sold at the dealership, so that's just fun. And then there's a couple other little odds and ends that we'll probably pick up along the way. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed it. See what you're going to be buying for this month, and we'll see you guys on the other side.